Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the show. I'm Sean David, and as always, thanks for tuning in. Being an NBA fan for over 30 years now, I honestly gotta say the best time of my life has to be the mid-1990s. Of course, I was a big Chicago Bulls fan, and I think it's almost impossible to explain to somebody who hasn't been around how special that time period actually was. And just to think of that this special dynasty almost didn't happen if it wasn't for the horrible trade of the San Antonio Spurs. So in this video, I want to take you guys back to the mid-1990s when the Chicago Bulls acquired Dennis Rodman and the San Antonio Spurs basically changed history. But before we start with this video, if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also click on the notifications button so you always get notified once I upload a new video. Alright, enough said, let's start the video.
I didn't play the game for the money. I didn't play the game to be famous. I'd love to just be an individual that's very colorful.
Forget all about the hair and the tattoos. Watching play basketball.
I didn't even think I was going to amount to anything.
Hard work, that's all it is, hard work.
I just went there and just let my raw talent just take over.
That's what Dennis does. He does it better than anybody in the league.
Unbelievable hustle play by Rodman. He just wants it a little bit more than everybody else right now.
I'm basically like James Brown, the hardest working NBA player.
If you ask a lot of people who they'd rather be for one day, I think they'd say Dennis Rodman in the NBA.
So before the Chicago Bulls acquired Dennis Rodman, he of course was a superstar in the NBA already. He played for the San Antonio Spurs, but early in his career, of course, he was known to be a bad boy Detroit Pistons. So let's have a look on the early career of Dennis Rodman. When Dennis Rodman was drafted in 1986 with the 27th pick, hardly anybody cared. He didn't come from a big college, and his stats weren't too great. To many, he would be a bench warmer or be out of the league in a few years. But Dennis wasn't willing to accept that fate, and he promised his friends that he would make it.
But once I got in the NBA and been around some veterans like Isaiah and Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, all those guys, that was a great team, man. I started to realize, started to actually pay attention. And I used to sit back and watch these guys go through this, these drills and this system. I kept thinking, what can I do? What can I do to get involved? What can I do to get involved? And I just kept playing every day, kept practicing every day, watching Adrian Danley. I used to guard him every day. Mark Aguirre, guard those guys. I guard the toughest guys in the league at practice.
Rodman's hard work paid off. In only his second season, he became a part-time starter, averaging 11.6 points per game, as well as 8.7 rebounds. By the way, for the guys who said that Dennis Rodman couldn't score, I repeat, 11.6 points per game. The following seasons, he helped the Pistons to win 2 championships, he became an NBA All-Star, won a Defensive Player of the Year award, and turned an overall NBA superstar. In 1991, he was incredible, averaging 9.8 points per game, as well as 18.7 rebounds while shooting over 50% from the field. Incredible. In 1993, the Bad Boys were no more, and also Rodman was dealt to the San Antonio Spurs. So you had superstar David Robinson and Dennis Rodman on one team, which sounded great on paper, but the reality was different.
I just want to say one thing. You can like me or you can hate me. I know one thing. When I step on this damn floor, all I'm going to do is get solid.
When I said that, I did this. I did that, and people freaked. All I do is come here. I'm getting paid to play basketball. I'm not coming here for people to like me. I'm coming here to play basketball and win.
Dennis Rodman, if you forget all about the hair and all the tattoos, watching play basketball, he can do some real good things on the floor.
He's a very talented young man. You bet he is.
That was not a problem with Dennis Rodman in San Antonio. I did my job. I averaged 18 rebounds a game for 2 years there. And I did everything we possibly could. We had the best record 2 years in a row.
To Rodman with a left-hander.
So while Dennis Rodman was creating chaos in the Western Conference with the San Antonio Spurs, Michael Jordan just came back from his early retirement and played for the Chicago Bulls, helped them to regain their confidence and actually to compete for a championship. But Michael Jordan was rusty and not the Michael Jordan of old. In the Eastern Conference semifinals, the Chicago Bulls were facing the young, up-and-coming Orlando Magic, a series that Jordan will never forget.
Seconds to play.
And Jordan spinning his way against Anderson. Here comes Hardaway. For Rodman. The Magic by one. 6 and 2/10 seconds to go. Another look as Nick Anderson did it from behind. Chasing Jordan, knocked it away, leading to this. And Penny Hardaway finds Hart.
If you know Michael Jordan, then you know that this early exit of the playoffs must have killed him. The most competitive guy, not making it to the finals and not winning an NBA championship, that really sat bad with him. So while he was shooting the movie Space Jam, by the way, one of the best basketball movies of all time, period, he was working out with Juwan Howard, Chris Webber, and all the guys, getting back into Michael Jordan shape. But what Jordan didn't know was that the Chicago Bulls front office was making a major move. The San Antonio Spurs were fed up with Dennis Rodman. They felt that he was too much of a distraction to the team. The crazy part was that guy was still averaging 18 rebounds a game. But still, the San Antonio Spurs felt it wasn't worth it. So they were looking for a team who would take Dennis Rodman. So when Jerry Krause of the Chicago Bulls knew that Dennis Rodman was available, he had to make a move. The Bulls needed some extra rebounding, so he wanted to make sure that what he gave away wouldn't hurt the Bulls in the long run. So they offered part-time starting lineup center Will Perdue, and at his best, role player. And for whatever reason, the San Antonio Spurs agreed.
Jordan at 1-1 now. Rodman won't give it in.
When you knew you were going to Chicago, what was your feeling? Was it excitement? Was it apprehension? What was it?
Only thing I said to myself, I said, wow, now I went to Detroit now. We pushed Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan around, and now I'm going to play for these guys. So now I was just wondering how these guys going to take me. I went to Jerry Krause's house. Phil Jackson was there, Michael was there, Scottie was there. Phil Jackson got to the point, he said, Dennis, the first thing I want you to do is go over and apologize to Scottie Pippen. I'm like, what? So I went outside and we talked for 5 minutes and stuff like that. And Scottie said, it's okay. Everything's fine, man. Don't worry about it. Went back inside. Phil Jackson asked me, Dennis, would you like to be a Chicago Bull? I said, I don't give a damn if I'm here or not.
So that was good enough for Phil Jackson and Jerry Krause. Dennis Rodman would now become a Chicago Bull. Will Perdue, on the other hand, had no idea what was happening.
You're dealt for some dude named Rodman.
Yep.
And so you go to San Antonio. This Rodman fella, who's also in the Hall of Fame, comes to Chicago. I'm curious from your perspective where you were when you received word that you had been traded and how Will Perdue at that point in his career took the news.
But I remember the day I was traded, I had a house out in the suburbs outside of Chicago, and I used to always take my dog out in the morning and get the newspaper. So, I had an invisible fence, so I walk out with my dog, and the dog runs around and does his business, and I go out and get the paper, and like everybody else back in the day, I didn't have fuzzy slippers on, but you open the paper and you kind of look through it while the dog's running around, and there it was in black print. Purdue traded for Rodman.
Oh, that's how you found out?
Yeah, no phone call or anything, and then so I had, well, that would be me.
Not the nicest way how to find out, but apparently this is how the business works. So I'm still trying to understand what the motivation was behind that trade from the perspective of the San Antonio Spurs. Let's have a look at Will Perdue's stats. In the 1994-1995 season, Will Perdue played 78 games, averaged 8 points, 6.7 rebounds, as well as 0.7 blocks. To me, stats of a decent backup center. So you're trying to tell me that the San Antonio Spurs didn't find a better trade offer than Will Perdue? I mean, they must have been able to put one and one together, that if you put the best rebounder on a team with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, that this is championship material for the future. I mean, me as a Bulls fan, I'm really happy that this happened, but geez, San Antonio, not a smart move. So this trade changed NBA history. The question now is, would the Chicago Bulls have won 3 championships in a row if it wasn't for Dennis Rodman? Which is a pretty interesting question, because in my opinion, I think still the Bulls would have won a championship, but they never would have had that dynasty, and they never would have been that popular. As I already mentioned earlier, it's pretty hard to understand for somebody who hasn't been around how popular that Chicago Bulls team was. So being a Chicago Bulls fan, I gotta be grateful to the San Antonio Spurs who really traded Will Perdue for Dennis Rodman. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching. Peace, I'm out. Hey you guys, if you're active on Facebook, I can really recommend Open Court. As an NBA fan, you should find everything you need. If it's funny NBA videos, impressive highlights, or even NBA news, I check out Open Court every day.